G'day Marvel Future Fight gamers, VaderG here, welcome back to the channel. Also inviting any Marvel Contest of Champions players, Marvel Future Revolution, Lineage 2, just for this bit of a data analysis. So the question that I'm asking and hoping to answer is Marvel Future Fight dying? The game by Netmarble. How does it stack up in comparison to, say, Lineage 2, which is a game that's probably newer than Marvel Future Fight? How does it stack up against Marvel Contest of Champions, which is, probably a game that's older than Marvel Future Fight? And what are the trends been in terms of revenue, in terms of, what sort of market share it has in the Netmarble gaming landscape? So they're the sort of issues we're going to have a bit of a chat about in this video. It's a video I've been meaning to do for probably a few months. I've noticed a lot of top players in Marvel Future Fight dropping off, and as a result, I'm kind of thinking, and I'm sure lots of people, particularly in the top 16, have been thinking, is this game dying? And no better place to go than Netmarble itself in terms of its revenue report. So that's where we're going in this video. It might get a little bit dry, a little bit bland, but hopefully it delivers some informative information. Okay, so how do we get our hands on that? Netmarble Global, Netmarble Gaming have a investment reference library. All right, so every quarter they actually release their financial position in these reports, and I'll just open the latest one up, for instance. So this is third quarter 2021, published on November. Consistently, they release a quarterly report. Each country does its quarters different, its financial years a little bit different. So whatever, we're just going to look at it per quarter, and they spell it out pretty clearly. So, and you can see the sort of the website up the top there. They break it up pretty clearly in terms of earnings, revenue breakdown by region, which is not what we're going to focus on. Revenue breakdown by genre, not going to focus on that either. Game portfolio, which is where we're going to focus on a fair bit. We're not going to really look at costs. We're not going to look at any new games or anything like that. I went through, and I've sort of been through from 2021 back to 2017, and that's basically where their reports end, okay? So first page of the report, I'm not going to spend a huge amount of time explaining this, but it basically shows all we're interested in here is, and you sort of see their profitability over here. Their profitability sort of sits between 10 to 15%, and it hasn't changed, it fluctuates up and down, but it's not ridiculous fluctuations. Not like it's gone to 60 and all that sort of thing. So sort of net profit in that sort of 10 to 15% mark. In terms of revenue, it does go up and down. You can sort of see the quarters here. Now, these numbers are actually in Korean won, billions of Korean won. And we'll do the conversion. So I've sort of charted this stuff out on a spreadsheet. Yep, I'm bored. Well, not really. I'm just kind of really interested. It goes through, it basically shows the operating profit. We're not really interested in the profits, right? So let's assume 10 to 15%. I'm not an accountant, so I'm not going to break all that sort of shit down. In terms of region, there's kind of an interesting split there. North America, the largest, Korea, the second, in terms of all their games. Revenue. In terms of games, and this is where we kind of get interested, right? And you'll actually see on this graph, Marvel Future Revolution it's the first, Marvel Future Fight isn't mentioned. It's the first time in a number of years Marvel Future Fight doesn't have its own category on the graph. So what we're going to do for this very last quarter is assume that it's going to be 3%, which it has consistently been through the rest of the reports. Very interesting that this new game, Ni no Kuni Cross Worlds, 20% is basically taking out the top, and Marvel Future Fight is sort of grouped here in the other bracket, 39%. It has a history of the past sort of 3 or 4 quarters of being around about 3% of the revenue. And yeah, Marvel Future Revolution, MFR, this is the first month they've actually recorded MFR, and it's showing at 4% of revenue. Having said that, it's only been in action since August, and late August for global launch. Major cost structure is not interested, but anyway, if you're interested in what new games they've got coming up, this is probably not a bad place to actually have a look at that. So we'll go back and have a look at. We might actually have a quick look at some of the earlier stuff. Let's just say 2018. Let's pick one at random. Second quarter, just to give you a little bit of an idea about the difference in spread, and 2018. So back in so similar spread. North America is still atop, and then Korea second, very close second. In terms of revenue breakdown by major games, you sort of see Lineage 2 was huge back then, 28%. Marvel Contest of Champions, very consistent, about 15%. Marvel Future Fight back then, 9% of total Netmarble revenue was Marvel Future Fight. So what I've done is I've gone through and I've basically graphed each quarter in Excel, and let's have a quick look at the results here. And the text might not be 100% clear. I'm using Cyberlink Power Director screen recorder for this. I couldn't get my OBS Studio to actually work properly. So what I've done is basically gone through. I'll just shift across here just a little bit. And I haven't looked at all the games, right? So I've just picked some games that I'm familiar with. As an example, Marvel Future Fight, Marvel Contest of Champions, Lineage 2, 7 Deadly Sins, and Marvel Future Revolution. So they're the 5 that I've kind of focused on. They make plenty of other games. But yeah, and I've actually made a note here. So in Q2 2017, this is basically when Lineage 2 released, it had 37% of the market share. When I say market share of the revenue that Netmarble was actually earning from its gaming departments. And you can actually see this line here is, obviously crucially important because it is the total revenue for all games. Okay, so Marvel Contest of Champions, for instance, in Q2 2017 was 13% of 540 billion Korean won. 1 billion Korean won equals roughly 850,000 US dollars. Okay, so that's kind of where we're at in this conversion. So basically, I've got 3 tables. There's top one, game percent by revenue. There's second one here, which is basically converting it into won, not won. And this third table, which is basically converting it into US dollars in terms of turnover per quarter. So every 3 months, this is how much they're earning. So what does it all mean? Well, firstly, as percentages go, you can kind of see Marvel Future Fight, which I'm going to focus on just here for a minute. In 2017, 2018, let's just say 5%. Q2 2018 had a big jump up to 9%. 7, 6, 6, 8, 5, 4, 3. Bit of a jump there in Q2 2020 up to 5% again. And then sort of really plateaued in the past sort of 12 to 18 months at 3% of total revenue. And you kind of see the total revenue has gone up a little bit, but what does that really mean? Well, it kind of means Marvel Future Fight, and we'll skip the Korean won stuff because more people are familiar with US dollars. Marvel Future Fight has gone from earning 26, what have we got? It says 26 million, $26 million a quarter, sort of here, up to $21 million a quarter, 38 million a quarter there, which was its peak. And then since then, it's kind of, ups and downs, 35.7. It sort of reached that high in Q2 2019, which was probably around about the time that we actually had Endgame and that sort of stuff. And then since then, there has been a steady decline. So there's no doubt about it. From a sales point of view, Marvel Future Fight has declined a bit. So this is the graph here for Marvel Future Fight. We've got the revenue per quarter in millions of US dollars. It's big money. It's easy to break it down and go, oh yeah, 35 million a quarter, 10 million a month. I mean, it's pretty insane. So that's kind of where we're at in terms of revenue, and that is million, yeah, right. And you can kind of see, yeah, Marvel Future Fight, it has had its peaks and troughs, and it definitely has tailed off in the past 12 to 18 months. So is Marvel Future Fight dying? Not completely, but yeah, it's certainly seen a reduction in popularity. And that's also mirrored through, well, hang on, we'll get on to the other games first. Okay, let's have a look at Marvel Contest of Champions. Marvel Contest of Champions is running typically at around that $60 million a quarter. It's up to 75 there, 80 there, 75, 80, 66. It is a very consistent performer for Netmarble. And when you look at the numbers, if we compare Marvel Future Fight, we'll just zoom out just a touch. If we compare Marvel Future Fight to Marvel Contest of Champions, you can kind of see, let's just say the average in Marvel Future Fight is, say, 15 million a quarter. The average for Marvel Contest of Champions is 60 million a quarter. So 4 times the magnitude, or 4 times the actual revenue of Marvel Future Fight is Marvel Contest of Champions. And really, Probably looks like it's been the feather in the cap, sort of the gem in the crown for Netmarble for an extended period of time. And it's interesting seeing these seasonal fluctuations as well. But yeah, like I'm no financial analyst, so I don't know shit about that. Lineage 2. This is an example of a game where it's really started off with a huge bang, and you can kind of see the revenue here in Q3 2017. What are we up there? We're sort of up at 220 million for the quarter. So that is, what's that? That's nearly 4 times, or say 3 to 4 times multiplier of Marvel Contest of Champions, even Marvel Contest of Champions in a good month. But then you can see this, this steady drop off, this ramping down, and Lineage 2 has really taken a hit from around about that period onwards. Now, guys, this data is freely available. I mean, obviously not the spreadsheet, although I might put it on Google Drive when I'm finished with this. You guys can have a bit of a look at it. There could be some errors in it. I don't really know. Okay, how does Marvel Future Revolution stack up? Okay, well, Marvel Future Revolution, it's only had its global launch on the 25th of August. They've reported from the 25th of August. Well, they've reported in Q3. Got to keep in mind that there is a server, the Amiga Flight server. There are whales on the Amiga Flight server that have been spinning. But anyhow, let's forget that. Let's assume that it's been running. It's generated so far in the last quarter. Which really 36 days, if we take it from the 25th of August, 36 days out of 92, 39% of a quarter. It's reported 20.6 million for the quarter, and if you extrapolate that, it ends up at 52 million for the quarter, which eclipses Marvel Future Fight even at its peak. Okay, so that gives you a little bit of an idea of the magnitude of Marvel Future Revolution. Having said that, if you look at certain games, there's 7 Deadly Sins. The 7 Deadly Sins is a very interesting one. 7 Deadly Sins, first reported quarter 2 2020, 144 million in the first quarter that it actually was released. Marvel Future Revolution is heading for potentially a third of 7 Deadly Sins, roughly a third of the actual turnover at launch. And you can have a look at the reduction of 7 Deadly Sins. So it sort of fell off the perch pretty quickly as well, and it's really reduced, I guess, 144, 109, but really reduced rapidly over the past sort of 18 months. So what does that mean for Marvel Future Revolution? I don't really know. But looking at these numbers, Marvel Contest of Champions is really the mainstay, right? It is the beast that keeps on delivering for Netmarble. And yeah, undoubtedly some sort of decline in terms of Marvel Future Revolution. I sort of did a bit of a search in terms of game rankings for Marvel Future Fight as well. And you can kind of see, this is since, hang on, yeah, August. That's not the period that I wanted. We'll have a look at the last. Oh, that's about as good as we're going to get, right? Last 90 days, I have to pay more to Sensor Tower. I have to pay for a subscription, which I'm not going to do. But you can see a drop off in terms of the actual game ranking on the actual store as well. So I think this is the iTunes store, and so it's dropped from, say, rank 120 odd, and it's dropped down to rank 270. So look, guys, no doubt the game's in decline. I'm not really sure if you found that interesting at all. I found it very interesting putting the data together. I thought I'd share it, hoping that you guys might be interested as well. But yeah, I mean, to be honest, the numbers do look like, and particularly when you look at these game rankings, that Marvel Future Fight is heading for some rough patch unless unless the game does something to change and actually attract more players to it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. 15-minute video. I'm really sorry that I've taken that long to explain it, but that's me. All right, guys. Thanks.